Chapter 2133. The past life 58-inch Mu-E wanted to punish a servant, and he treated him like this. A servant? The emperor was stunned. He frowned hard and said, "Guard, summon General Sima now." He knew Sima Yen well, so he had to find out why Sima Yen would protect a servant. The eunuch accepted the order, retreated, and soon left the imperial study room. Within a few moments, a stern Sima Yen walked in from outside the imperial study room. He smiled coldly after he saw Princess Qingluo kneeling in the imperial study room. "General Sima," the emperor's face remained calm. "Earlier, Qingluo came to tell me that Mu-E wanted to deal with a servant, and you stopped him?" "Indeed." Sima Yen raised his head and smiled coldly. He glanced at Qingluo but did not deny it. "Emperor, I also have something to say. You should do something with your son-in-law's family. Every other day they go outside to cause trouble. One day they might just bring disaster to this kingdom." Qingluo sarcastically turned to Sima Yen. "General Sima, are you saying this is our fault?" "I'm telling you, this is not the fault of our emperor's son-in-law's family. That is little Nine's servant. When she sees Qingya and my mother, is that hard for her to kneel and respect them?" The emperor felt his headache getting worse. How did it involve little Nine, the Mu family's member that was missing before? "And," Qingluo continued, "she is little Nine's servant. Even if little Nine sees me, she also has to call me mother. Since her surname is Mu, her servant should also treat the Mu family as her master. My husband was just going to punish a servant, but is it considered disastrous to the kingdom? Hilarious. Do you think you have the right to say that?" Sima Yan's head also buzzed. He did not understand how Dongfang Yu got involved with little Nine of the Mu family. Or perhaps, Sima Yen froze. Was little Nine of the Mu family, the ninth emperor, the person they had been trying to find? This stirred something Sima Yen, and the delight in his eyes spoke for itself. "General Sima," the emperor frowned at Sima Yen. "Do you have anything to say? Speak then." Sima Yen took a deep breath and held down his inner excitement. "Do you know who that servant is?" The emperor froze for a moment and asked, "Who?" "Dongfang Yu." Dongfang Yu. This name made the emperor's body tremble, and he stood up so suddenly. He moved so fast that all the inkstones on the table were swept to the floor. He looked at Sima Yen in disbelief as if he was not aware of it. "Who did you just say that servant was?" "Me for extra chapters." "Dongfang Yu? How could it be her? People from the emperor's son-in-law's house has offended her. Even though there are many outstanding girls in this world, how many women can be as good as my daughter, Qingya? Men rule this world. There are very few great women, and only men can be outstanding to this extent." Qingluo smirked as she saw that the emperor and Sima Yen did not believe her. She continued, "I have proof. I heard that the ninth emperor only has women by her side, never a man. Therefore, the ninth emperor must be a man. Otherwise, which girl is so perverted to accept so many women and bring them home?" Many people had guessed the ninth emperor's gender, but in the end, they all agreed that the ninth emperor was a man. "Father, Shut up," the emperor shouted angrily. "Do you know how much trouble that old Lady Mu has caused today? Why should that girl from the Dongfang family kneel and bow to her? She was the ninth emperor's people. No one in this mainland dared to be so reckless with the ninth emperor's people. How dare this old lady of the Mu family?" Qingluo stiffened, looking at the anger upon the emperor's face. She remembered it now. A few years ago, a family was exterminated. That family, it seemed to be the Dongfang family. Dongfang Yu was the only daughter of the Dongfang family. Just since the Dongfang family was exterminated, Dongfang Yu disappeared. But what did this have to do with her father, and why was her father defending her so much? She is just a little girl from the Dongfang family. Qingluo bit her lip. I remember when the Dongfang family was powerful, but they sought their own death, attracting a strong enemy before they were exterminated. Now the Dongfang family is left with only Dongfang Yu. So what else is there to care about? Was it because back then, Sima Yen and the Dongfang family were in a good relationship that the father was so defensive of her? But her father was not such a person. She was the emperor's daughter, so her father should defend her. The emperor laughed coldly. It seems that you do not know about it. Do you know that years after Dongfang Ye's disappearance, where she went? Where? She was rescued by the ninth emperor. The ninth emperor never saved people for no reason, and since it was the ninth emperor who saved her, she was bound to stay by her side. Qing Luo was stunned and lost in her thought for a long time. Me for extra chapters. Earlier, father said that Dongfang Yu was the ninth emperor's people. But she's little Nine's servant. Father, could you be mistaken? She's little Nine's servant. Maybe back then, the ninth emperor just passed by and saved her but did not take her away. The emperor looked at Qing Luo coldly. You have never thought that little Nine is the ninth emperor? Qing Luo was dumbfounded for a while before bursting out laughing. In this serious discussion, her laughter sounded a little inappropriate. Father, little Nine does have a resemblance to the ninth emperor as she also has 9 in her name. But other than that, how else does she look like the ninth emperor? I heard that the ninth emperor always wears masks and never shows her face to the world. If she were really the ninth emperor, she wouldn't have taken Dongfang Yu to the market. Qing Luo smiled and continued, moreover, we don't know the ninth emperor's gender. It has been said before that the ninth emperor is a man. Hearing that, the emperor's head hurt even more. Little Nine. If she was really the ninth emperor, he was afraid that there would be some big trouble. Qing Luo had snatched away little Nine's father. And Sima Yan laughed bitterly. Mu Yi treated Dongfang Yu so badly, but Dongfang Yu did not even make a move. At first, I did not understand why, until it was said that she was little Nine's servant. I suspect that little Nine is the ninth emperor. The emperor pondered and said, General Sima, you go and try to get close to little Nine to see if she is the ninth emperor. But you must not offend her. Our kingdom already owes her. If you offend her now, I'm afraid it will be difficult to deal with her. Why must it be little Nine? Because of Qing Luo, it had become a little difficult for the emperor to deal with the ninth emperor. Chapter 2135. The past life 60 there were too many beautiful girls on Cloud Mountain, and the ninth emperor was only interested in girls. The more beautiful the girl was, the easier it was for her to get his attention. Therefore, how could he not be a man? All right, the emperor frowned impatiently. Even if little Nine is not the ninth emperor, Dongfang Yu does have a relationship with him. So, in the future, people from the emperor's son-in-law's manor must not provoke her again. Qing Luo was stunned and a little mad. Her eyes were full of resentment and anger. She had already made it so clear, but why did her father still not understand? But, father, isn't it bad to allow people to disrespect the imperial family? The emperor's face sank as he sternly shouted, Guards, send the princess back. This matter does not need to be brought to me again, and I don't want you to cause trouble outside again. The old lady of the Mu family is a troublemaker. Is there anyone in this city who even gets along with her? Qing Luo's face sank. She is Mu Yi's mother, father. No matter what, she was the mother of the man she loved. How could she tolerate the others bullying her like that? Qing Luo closed her eyes slowly, and her gaze filled with sorrow. She still did not understand why her father had become so afraid of others. He was the ruler of a kingdom, but he was still afraid of Dongfang Yu. The emperor's face sank as he shouted expressionlessly, Get out! Qing Luo pursed her lips, looked at the emperor, turned around, and left. This time she did not say a word, but her face was still filled with resentment. Sima Yan sighed. Emperor, the princess will understand later that you are doing it for her good. If the emperor did not truly care for the princess, why would he say this to her? But if the princess was determined not to listen to him, there was nothing left to do. She did not understand that they could not mess with some people on this mainland. The emperor's face was cold. That old lady of the Mu family is so problematic. She loves to provoke Dongfang Yu, but that girl is the ninth emperor's people. How can others provoke her? Sima Yan fell silent. Emperor, do you think that little Nine is the ninth emperor? The emperor was slightly stunned. He also fell into silence and did not reply. A few moments later, he said, "When you met Dongfang Yu, what did Dongfang Yu say?" "Me for extra chapters." Sima Yan shook his head. "Dongfang Yu said that the ninth emperor is not here, but she did not deny that she is with the ninth emperor. So, Emperor, since Dongfang Yu is with the ninth emperor, why did she become someone else's servant? The only one who she can serve should be the ninth emperor." In the emperor's son-in-law's manor, Mu Qingya waited anxiously outside the gate. It was already late, but Princess Qingluo had not come back. She lowered her gaze, and an unreadable light flashed in her eyes. She raised her head a few moments later. "It seems that mother is not coming back, so I have to meet little Nine again." Mu Qingya was about to walk down the steps when Mu Yi came out of the courtyard. He looked at Mu Qingya and asked, "Qingya, where are you going to?" Mu Qingya smiled bitterly. "Father, I haven't been able to talk to my sister last time, so I want to see her again. We are sisters and we both are father's daughters. Maybe she will listen to me." Chapter 2136. The Past Life 61-inch General Sima. The emperor pondered for a moment and said, "Your previous relationship with the Dongfang family is still good. You go to persuade her. Do not let the ninth emperor remember about her revenge, and I will warn Qingluo again so that she does not cause any trouble." Sima Yan nodded. "Emperor, don't worry. I know what to do." "All right, you can go now." The emperor ordered him to go and did not say more. Sima Yan put his fist to his palm and smiled. "I understand, and I have just had someone secretly follow Dongfang Yu. I think I will soon be able to find little Nine of the Mu family." He and Mu Yi were not on good terms for now. Mu Yi would not say anything if he asked him, so he had to use his way to find little Nine. By then, he would know whether little Nine was the ninth emperor or not. The emperor hesitated for a moment. The ninth emperor has always shown herself in masks and probably does not want others to know that she is a girl. Why? Are you stupid? The ninth emperor doesn't like men but girls. If people knew that she was also a girl, wouldn't that cause people to criticize her? Therefore, she let people mistake her for a boy so that she can stay with her girls. Hearing the emperor's words, Sima Yan was first dumbfounded. Then, he nodded since he felt that this was very reasonable. If he liked someone of the same gender, he also did not want too many people to know about it, lest it provoked criticism. Bad rumors were the most terrible and could be enough to put people to death. Even if that person were the ninth emperor, she would still be drowned by those spittles. So, the emperor frowned. "I suspect that Dongfang Yu is not her servant but her woman." Sima Yan was shocked. He could accept it if it were anyone else, but why did it have to be Dongfang Yu he knew? It was tough for him to imagine that Dongfang Yu would submit herself to a woman. "That's all you need to know." The emperor smiled and said, "So, when you want to please the ninth emperor, you can send a few more women to her. Maybe when she is happy, she will reward us with a few spirit herbs, all of which can greatly enhance the strength of Fengyun Kingdom." Sima Yan pondered for a moment before nodding. "I understand." Sima Yan left immediately after saying these words. Fortunately, there were many girls in Fengyun Kingdom. He could choose a few beautiful girls and send them to the ninth emperor, hoping that she would put aside her need for revenge. Sima Yan was somewhat helpless. He hated to do so, but he had no other choice. This was all because of the trouble caused by Princess Qingluo. Me for extra chapters. Nan Chongfeng stood not far away. He heard that and looked at Dongfang Yu coldly. He then slowly walked out and headed toward the ninth emperor smilingly. His silver hair was so dazzling, with a vertical line between his eyebrows. He looked so stunning. Chapter 2137. The Past Life 62. Mu Yi froze. He listened to Mu Qingya and was silent for a short while. Qingya is right. They are still sisters. Perhaps she will listen to Qingya? Superscript 1. But, thinking of little Nine's temper, Mu Yi had some headache again and rubbed his temples. "Qingya, don't go. Little Nine now has a grudge against me. I'm afraid it's a bit hard to deal with her." Mu Qingya smiled and shook her head. "Father, don't worry. I know what to do, and I won't instigate a fight with my sister. After all, She is my sister and has suffered a lot of hardships over the years, so I should meet her. Looking at Mu Qingya, who was so understanding, Mu Yi felt an ache in his heart, and with a bitter smile, he patted Mu Qingya's shoulder. Qingya, I'm sorry. Little Nine has suffered a lot these years. I also want to do my part as a father to help her, but your grandmother, mother hated Little Nine, so it is a little difficult to make her accept Little Nine. If Mu Qingya could help, maybe it would be much better. Mu Qingya lowered her gaze, hiding the coldness within her eyes, and only after a long time did she let out a laugh. Father, don't worry. Leave all these things to me. I'll go talk to her on grandmother's behalf. Mu Yi smiled and nodded. All right, perhaps he trusted Mu Qingya a lot. He did not say anything more, allowing her to meet Little Nine. Meanwhile, he went back to his manor to take care of old Lady Mu. At this moment, Princess Qingluo had not returned yet. Mu Qingya looked at Mu Yi's departing figure, her eyes slightly sunk. She then turned around and left. Her expression was calm, but deep in her eyes, it had hidden emotions that others could not read. Inside the manor, the 9th Emperor raised her head and saw Dongfang Yu walking back with a bag of pastries smilingly. 9th Emperor, I'm back. Well, the 9th Emperor raised her eyebrows and took the pastries that Dongfang Yu handed to her. She smiled and said, You came back a little late this time. Oh. Dongfang Yu rubbed the back of her head, smiling brightly. I met old Lady Mu when I was on my way back. The 9th Emperor was stunned and lowered her gaze. She bullied you? Me for extra chapters. Dongfang Yu shook her head. No, she tried to. But I dodged. And she fell. Oh, the 9th Emperor smiled calmly. It's good that she didn't bully you. Dongfang Yu was stunned. She looked up at the 9th Emperor and said, 9th Emperor, if I hit them, would you? If you want to, then just do it. The 9th Emperor shrugged. I do not have anything to do with those people, and they are not as important as you. They are not as important as you. These words warmed Dongfang Yu's heart, and the smile on her face grew wider. Mu Qingya froze. Little Nine knew? She knew it. Then why didn't she punish her servant? Sister, she's your grandmother, and she's already old. She's wounded and still unconscious, yet you still keep this servant here for no good reason. Chapter 2138. The Past Life 63-inch 9th Emperor. It's getting late. I've already warmed up your bed. You can go rest first. Dongfang Yu looked at the sky and said, It's still early. Why did the 9th Emperor have to go to bed so early? Nan Chongfeng glanced at Dongfang Yu coldly. Qingzhu. She did not know if it was the gaze or the word Qingzhu that made her face turn pale. She glared at Nan Chongfeng fiercely and turned around to leave. However, before Dongfang Yu walked out of the courtyard's door, she ran into Mu Qingya, who had just entered, outside the courtyard. Mu Qingya did not see Dongfang Yu and almost bumped her. Luckily, Dongfang Yu reacted quickly and dodged to avoid her. Mu Qingya was stunned as she looked at Dongfang Yu standing in front of her. An unknown light flashed in her eyes. Dongfang Yu, the 9th Emperor, stretched her hand lazily. Next time, if someone walks without looking at the road, you do not have to dodge. She paused for a moment and said, Just kick her away directly. Yes, master. I understand. Dongfang Yu smiled. When she turned to look at Mu Qingya, her face turned cold. What are you doing here? Get out. Mu Qingya ignored Dongfang Yu and slowly walked toward the 9th Emperor. She raised her chin arrogantly and smiled. Sister, I have wanted to see you for a while. Sister. These words made the 9th Emperor feel goosebumps all over. She rubbed her arms and turned to look at Nan Chongfeng. Why do I feel a little cold? Nan Chongfeng raised his hand, took off his outer coat, and draped it over the 9th Emperor's body. It's not the cold. The someone who made you feel nauseous. Mu Qingya's face changed dramatically after hearing these words from Nan Chongfeng. She bit her lip hard. A feeling of shame hit her heart, making her feel very uncomfortable. Sister, I'm here for father. Mu Qingya held back the anger in her heart and forced a smile. He missed you, me for extra chapters. Oh, the ninth emperor smiled carelessly. Mui is not here. There is no one else here, and there is no need for you to continue pretending. These words caused Mu Qingya's expression to sink slightly for a few moments. What does sister mean by this? What do I mean? The ninth emperor stood up from her seat. Don't you understand? Her voice was low, and her tone remained calm. Mu Qingya had to admit that this woman was indeed beautiful. However, it was not enough because only strong people would be respected on this mainland. Sister, Mu Qingya glanced at Changfeng on the side and turned to the ninth emperor again. A faint smile on her lips, this time. I really came for my father because your servant attacked my grandmother. The ninth emperor shrugged. I know. It seems that Dongfang you did not dare to talk about Sima Yan. I know. Dongfang you must have a relationship with Sima Yan. Otherwise, why did she not dare to tell little Nine? Sister, she spoke with a cold smile. She seduced that old man Sima Yan in public to avoid father's punishment. And yet you still keep such a servant around? Do you still want to protect her? The ninth emperor's gaze was fixed upon Dongfang Yu. No one knew what she was thinking and she ignored Mu Qingya. Mu Qingya continued, I came today to tell you that in father's heart, grandmother is far more important than anyone else. Otherwise, he would not have abandoned you and your mother for her. He even married my mother. So, don't be delusional and think that he will feel guilty about you. It's impossible. Chapter 2139. The Past Life 64. Mu Qingya trembled. Her eyes were already filled with tears, and her voice carried anger. The ninth emperor smiled faintly and said, I've already talked with Dongfang Yu. Sister, I know you will. Mu Qingya smiled and went forward, trying to tug the ninth emperor's hand. The ninth emperor quickly put her hand in Nan Changfeng's hand, avoiding Mu Qingya's hand. Nan Changfeng froze, lowering his gaze to look at her hand in his palm, and the smile on his face grew warmer. However, this somehow felt like a sword was deeply stabbing Mu Qingya's heart. She bit her lip to restrain the anger. I have already talked with her. The ninth emperor smiled faintly. If others bullied her, why not do something more powerful to fight that person back? She knew her people well. If it were not for old lady Mu being a demon, Dongfang you would not have acted like that. She was a kind girl. Compared to the other girls in Cloud Mountain, she could be considered very tolerant. If it were anyone else, they would have beaten that old lady and left her half dead. Mu Qingya froze and looked at little Nine in disbelief, not believing that she could say such words. That is her grandmother. How can she bear to? Mu Qingya trembled and closed her eyes. Only after half a few seconds did she open them again, staring at little Nine intensely. Grandmother is right. You have the blood of the Mu family flowing in your body. Yet you still do things that are indeed so cruel and ruthless. Our Mu family has always been kind, but you are the only one who is so unfilial. She took a deep breath and continued, You are not only disloyal but also unfaithful and unfilial. With this behavior, I guess God will never let you go easily. God? The ninth emperor snorted. When God sees me, he has to call me father. Who do you think you are? Mu Qingya sneered. Even her grandfather, who was the emperor of a kingdom, did not dare to say that. Little Nine was really arrogant. Then, do you know what your servant did when father was planning to punish her? Mu Qingya sneered. The ninth emperor frowned. Mu Yi was also involved in this matter? Why didn't Dongfang Yu tell me? She looked up at Dongfang Yu. Me for extra chapters. As Dongfang Yu's eyes met hers, Dongfang Yu trembled and quickly turned around, avoiding the ninth emperor's gaze. Seeing how Dongfang Yu was dodging eye contact, the ninth emperor knew that what Mu Qingya said was true. Mu Yi had gone to find Dongfang Yu, who was in trouble, and Dongfang Yu still dared to hide that from her. Mu Qingya sneered and looked at the ninth emperor and then looked at Dongfang Yu, who looked scared. A cold smile grew upon her face. The ninth emperor released her hand and threw Mu Qingya into the lake. You can swim away from here. She looked at Mu Qingya, who was struggling in the water expressionlessly. Mu Qingya shouted angrily, How dare you? The ninth emperor had quietly placed her hand on the water, and boom! It set off a huge wave, sweeping Mu Qingya away, as if there was a huge wave behind her, pushing her away until she disappeared. Chapter 2140. The past life 65. Since Little Nine had already said that there was no need for her to be friendly with Little Nine. She smiled coldly, and she finally said what she wanted to say. The ninth emperor smiled as she slowly walked toward her. She clicked her tongue twice, scanning Mu Qingya up and down. Mu Qingya's expression changed. She took a few steps back and looked at Little Nine cautiously. "What are you going to do?" Looking at Mu Qingya's expression, the ninth emperor laughed out loud. "What are you so afraid of? With this face, you are not even half as beautiful as Dongfeng Yu. Moreover, I have Changfeng by my side. What do you think I will do to you?" Hearing the ninth emperor's first few words, Nan Changfeng's face gradually sank. His eyes lit up at the end of her sentence, and a smile appeared upon his face. Mu Qingya froze for a moment. "Little Nine, she's a pervert?" Her face sank. "Little Nine, I came here today for my father. You should know that my father is the emperor's son-in-law now. If he even loves you, he won't give up the position he had today." The ninth emperor stroked her chin. Her face was calm, but the smile in her eyes was a bit cold. "Then you go back and tell him to be a good emperor's son-in-law and don't bother me again. Otherwise," the ninth emperor laughed and shook her head. "I don't want to bully the weak. It is too embarrassing." "Bully?" After hearing these words, Mu Qingya sneered. Her smile was sardonic as she looked up at the ninth emperor. The coldness in her eyes became even more apparent. Back then, she only thought that Little Nine was not very good-tempered, but she did not expect that she was still so wild and arrogant. "Little Nine," Mu Qingya smiled faintly. "You take care of yourself, and this servant of yours." She paused for a moment and turned to Dongfeng Yu. Dongfeng Yu had an unyielding cold expression and was not even willing to glance at Mu Qingya. "This girl can even seduce an old man in public. And you, however, are not disciplining her well enough." She pursed her lips, and her smile became even colder. The ninth emperor sneered as she walked toward Mu Qingya. When Mu Qingya turned sideways, she was confronted with that stunning and breathtaking face. She had to admit that this woman was indeed beautiful, making her a little jealous. Me for extra chapters. Unfortunately, the strongest were the most important. Even if one had the most beautiful face, it would not bring any good. Since you don't want to leave on your own accord, I will give you a ride. She raised her hand and lifted Mu Qingya. Mu Qingya was a bit panicked, and her face was pale. But she did not have time to fight back. She did not see that the young man's tender gaze was always fixed upon her, never moving away. Dongfeng Yu oddly looked at Nan Changfeng and then looked at the ninth emperor, frowning. She felt that Nan Changfeng was strange. Could it be that this guy was really hitting on the ninth emperor? Dongfeng Yu's heart thumped and even looked at Nan Changfeng with eyes filled with cautiousness. Mu Qingya went back home in a mess. Princess Qingluo stopped in her tracks when she saw Mu Qingya and then burst into a rage. "Qingya, tell me, who did this to you?" Her eyes were full of anger, and her gaze was stern. When Mu Qingya looked up, she saw Mu Yi walking out. She lowered her gaze and shook her head. "Mother, I'm fine. You don't have to ask anymore. They'll just change my clothes. It's not a big deal." Chapter 2141. The past life 66. The whole courtyard became quiet. Nan Changfeng took a coat and draped it over the ninth emperor's body, and it gave her some warmth. He gently held her from behind. The young man's smile, too, was filled with warmth. "Ninth Emperor, you still have us." The ninth emperor had not said anything, but he knew that the ninth emperor left Fengyun Kingdom in despair back then. She was out on her own, and he did not know how much suffering she had to go through to get to where she was today. The man who was her father never cared about her life but had another wife and daughter. If the ninth emperor had not returned, perhaps he would not have remembered he had such a daughter. His daughter was so excellent, and he would regret it one day for not treating her well. The ninth emperor smiled and withdrew her gaze. From the moment I decided to leave back then, there is no longer any relationship between him and me. I don't care if he marries another. After all, the world knows that my mother is dead. He does not need to hold on to her for life. At this moment, the 9th emperor still did not know. After 1,000 years, she would be reincarnated as a princess. In this life, only a man knew his wife was no longer alive but still waited for his wife for nearly 20 years until his wife came back. That man was called Feng Tianwu, and his wife was the famous Empress Nalan. Only such people were worthy of the name of a divine couple. I want. Nan Changfeng's expression was solemn as he looked at the 9th emperor, with an unreadable light in his eyes. If one day you are no longer here, I will go to you. The 9th emperor looked at Nan Changfeng in surprise. She narrowed her eyes and patted his head with a smile. With this strength, you want to find me? I guess even if something happens, you will be the first to be in trouble, and maybe I am the one who will have to go looking for you. The 9th emperor did not know that what she said would actually happen. Little that she knew that Nan Changfeng would be in danger a few days later because of her. He would lay in her arms, almost dead, and she, giving up her life, would just allow him to reincarnate again. She even waited for 1,000 years before she got the chance to reunite with him. In that life, she was the great princess, Feng Ruqing, and he was the cold and gentle state preceptor Nan Xian. Me for extra chapters. It was a pity that they still did not know everything today and would have to face it in the future. The 9th emperor smiled and turned to the sky, and her eyes were much gentler. Nan Changfeng stood next to the 9th emperor. Don't worry, because I will not hold a grudge against my sister. Mui's heart ached a little. If only little Nine can be as understanding as Qingya. But, thinking about little Nine's temper, he had a bit of a headache again. He was afraid that it would be a little difficult to get her to apologize. However, if he didn't do that, Qing Luo might pursue this matter and complain to the emperor. There was no way he could protect little Nine because the emperor loved Qing Luo and would not let her suffer even a single bit. After all, it was not King Luo's fault. She knew that Mui had always felt guilty about little Nine. But it was difficult for her to accept someone else's daughter and love another's daughter like her own. Chapter 2142. The past life 67 Princess Qing Luo had just returned from the palace, and of course, she knew nothing. But what about Mui? When he saw Mu Qingya in such a mess, his heart skipped a beat, and he hurried toward her, with his gaze full of concern. Qingya, didn't you go to look for little Nine? How did you end up like this? Qing Luo stiffened. Little Nine? Why is it always her? She took a deep breath. Her face somewhat darkened as she turned to Mui and asked, Did Qingya go to meet little Nine? This time she was shouting fiercely, not pretending as she did before. She was furious. Her body trembled, and her eyes were filled with anger. Qing Luo, Mui was shocked. He took a deep breath and said, She just went to look for little Nine. But that doesn't mean little Nine did it, so... Qing Luo turned to Mu Qingya and asked in a deep voice, Tell me who hurt you like this. Is it little Nine? Mu Qingya lowered her head. Seeing her reaction, Qing Luo became even angrier. Qingya, are you like your father, still protecting little Nine now? I don't care what she has done before, but I can't let her go this time. How can I, as a mother, let others bully my daughter? Am I worthy of being a mother? King Luo's voice was filled with anger, and her eyes were filled with monstrous rage. Mui opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but looking at King Luo's expression, he knew that any explanations would be useless now. The last time they fought because of some misunderstanding. However, this time, Qingya looked for little Nine with good intentions, and little Nine should not have done such a thing. Qing Luo, Mui smiled bitterly. If it was really little Nine's doing, he'll settle this matter. He'll ask little Nine to come and apologize. Qing Luo was the princess. She had endured too much pain for him. So this time, he could not continue to let her suffer. Otherwise, it would all be a disaster for the Mu family. However, one was an imperial princess and the other was his daughter. It was too difficult for him to choose. Mui closed his eyes, trembling. After a few seconds, seeing Qing Luo did not speak, he opened his eyes and turned to Qingya. Qingya, you do not need to worry. I will settle this matter for you. I know that you went there for me. Little Nine. After all, she has not lived with us since childhood, and there are many things she still did not understand. Me for extra chapters. Mu Qingya nodded with a bitter smile. Father, I understand. That's why I will give her some time. Maybe because she is used to being alone outside and has suffered many grievances so that she may hold a grudge. I can grow up by father's side, but she couldn't. I understand, father. There were only Dongfang Yu and Tianxian, and no one watched the door, so these people kept coming as they wished. She had to use the formation to stop them. Initially, she was too lazy to set up the formation, but she did not expect that the people of the Mu family were so persistent. Yesterday, his daughter had just come, and today this old man was here too. When would they finally leave her alone? Dongfang Yu stopped Mu Yi. Her face was cold, expressionless. What are you doing here? Leave now. Mu Yi frowned and looked at Dongfang Yu coldly. However, after seeing Little Nine, who walked out from the courtyard, his face eased a lot, and his tone was gentle. Little Nine. This name gave the 9th Emperor goosebumps. She could not help but touch her arms as she shivered. However, Mu Yi, as if he did not notice it a bit, smiled and walked toward the 9th Emperor. I came to look for you yesterday, and when I saw you sleeping, I left, so I came early this morning. The 9th Emperor looked at Mu Yi and frowned. Then, what are you doing here? I came to see you. I want to ask about what happened yesterday. Mu Yi looked a bit hesitant. Perhaps he did not know if it should be said or not, but he still said it anyway. Yesterday, your sister came home soaking wet. I want to ask you what happened. She just wants you to go home, so she came to meet you. The 9th Emperor looked blank and puzzled. I don't know. Was she mad? Mu Yi froze, and his face slightly stiffened. Little Nine, what do you mean by that? He trembled and asked. The 9th Emperor sneered and shrugged. Yesterday, she came to me, stood in my courtyard for half a day, and did not say anything. But finally, all of a sudden, she jumped into the lake. All of a sudden, she jumped down the lake? Mu Yi froze. So it's not Little Nine who pushed her? Why did Qingya jump into the lake? So you should not ask me. You should go back and ask her what is wrong. If she wants to bathe, there is no need to come to me? Or does she like the feeling of being wet? Little Nine. Mu Yi's face changed dramatically. Little Nine still isn't telling the truth about Qingya. Your sister, she would not jump for no reason. Little Nine, tell me what really happened. I'm doing this for you, Mu Yi pleaded. Facing the daughter in front of him, he did not dare to say too much. What does he mean by doing this for me? He's here today to do justice for Mu Qingya. The 9th Emperor sneered at Mu Yi. I said, if you want to know what happened, you should go back and ask her. There is no need for you to keep asking me here. If she did not jump down herself, are you implying that I pushed her? If so, why should I push her? Me for extra chapters. Hearing the 9th Emperor's words, Dongfang Yu turned and looked at her. The 9th Emperor indeed did not push Mu Qingya. She picked her up and threw her in. Mu Yi said he was just asking some questions, but he was just looking for trouble for her daughter in reality. Why can he only believe in Mu Qingya's words but not the 9th Emperor, and he is still asking questions? If the 9th Emperor told him what Mu Qingya said yesterday, I am afraid that this person will still only believe in Mu Qingya and not the 9th Emperor. So, this was why the 9th Emperor did not say anything, but she also did not like to take the blame for people. Little Nine, Qingya, how could she jump for no reason? Mu Yi was still somewhat unconvinced. Any ordinary person would not do this. However, looking at Little Nine, it did not look like she was lying. Maybe it was because Mu Qingya had followed him since he was young, so he was still more willing to believe Mu Qingya. After all, Qingya would never lie, much less do something like framing others. The 9th Emperor shrugged. I said I don't know, so you don't have to keep asking me. I don't welcome any of you here either. So in the future, you don't have to come to me and pollute my lake. I'm afraid she'll poison all the fish in my lake. Mu Yi's face turned pale as if he could not believe that these were Little Nine's words. He had initially wanted to ask Little Nine to follow him back to apologize to Mu Qingya, but he could not say these words for a while. He knew that he would only make a fool of himself by saying it out loud. Little Nine would never apologize. Little Nine, Qingya did not mean anything else. She just wants to reunite with you. As your father, I do not want you to end up like this. Do you understand? Mu Yi's gaze was sincere as he looked at the 9th Emperor unblinkingly. The 9th Emperor's face changed from the initial coldness to impatience as she said coldly, Dong Fengyu, send him away, and in the future, none of them is allowed to disturb me. Little Nine. Mu Yi's voice was filled with grief. How did you turn out like this? I remember you were good, sweet, and understanding when you were a child. But why have you become so insensitive? Well-behaved and understanding? The 9th Emperor snorted. Her voice was cold. To you? Or that old lady in your manner? Mu Yi's face stiffened. Little Nine's good behavior and understanding were only for her mother. She never liked old lady Mu. So it was not that she had changed. She had not changed in all these years and was still as unapproachable as before. Little Nine, Qingluo is the princess of this kingdom, and Qingya is her daughter. I don't want her to find trouble with you. Do you understand? Mu Yi said painfully, this is all painful for me. So listen to me, no matter who is right and who is wrong this time, you must go and apologize to Qingya. Then this matter will be over. Otherwise, Princess Qingluo would definitely not give up this time. Besides, Qingluo had already suffered too much for his sake and even lost the emperor's favor. If Little Nine refused, it would only make Qingluo sad. How could he bear it in his heart? An apology could solve the problem. So why did they not solve it immediately? Dongfang, you froze. Earlier, this person was asking the 9th Emperor questions without knowing who was right or wrong, and then he wanted the 9th Emperor to meet that woman to apologize? And was Mu Qingya worthy of it? Master, Dongfang Ye's face turned cold. I will throw him out later and will not let him come here again in the future. Mu Yi's face darkened. Little Nine, listen to me. This servant is not a good person. She relies on your affection and favor. She does not respect us, so she will undoubtedly become unfilial, and she also relies on her beauty to hook up with Sima Yan. I am afraid she will only bring you disaster. Me for extra chapters. Hook up with Sima Yan. Yesterday, Mu Qingya said that, too. Such a perfect pair of father and daughter, doing things entirely by their own preferences. What? Suddenly, a cold and stern voice came from the back, causing Mu Yi to instantly froze. The 9th Emperor looked up at the middle-aged man walking in from outside the courtyard, and she rubbed her temples with some headache. I need to set up the formation tonight. These people like to come and disturb her. She still wanted to find the truth about her mother's disappearance. Sima Yan? Mu Yi looked at Sima Yan, who was walking toward him coldly. His gaze sank. Sima Yan was expressionless, and his cold gaze fell upon Mu Yi. Earlier, I heard you say something about me. Mu Yi, if you have the guts, say that again to my face. Chapter 2146. The Past Life 71 Mu Yi. This bastard. He is spewing nonsense again. He did not come last night because it was too late for him to disturb Little Nine, but he did not expect that he would arrive just in time to hear Mu Yi accuse him today. Mu Yi froze. What's this guy doing here? He said with a taut face. I came to look for my daughter. What? Do you want to meddle in my daughter's affairs? Sima Yan coldly laughed at Mu Yi's appearance, and that laugh was filled with sarcasm. Your daughter? That also depends on whether she admits to being your daughter or not. If she doesn't admit that she is your daughter, so what does that mean to you? Mu Yi's face darkened. He turned to Sima Yan and snarled, She's my daughter. The blood of my Mu family runs through her body. So what do you mean she is not my daughter? Sima Yan, you'd better leave our Mu family's affairs alone. Whether Little Nine admits it or not, it doesn't change the fact that I am her father. The sarcasm in Sima Yan's smile grew stronger, and even his eyes were filled with ridicule. After Princess Qingluo went back, he was sure that she did not tell Mu Yi what the emperor had told her. So now Mu Yi still dared to frame Dongfang Yu. Princess Qing Luo. She's such trouble. I must report this to the emperor and get him to teach the princess well. She wants to drag down the entire Feng Yun kingdom because of jealousy? Mu Yi, you'd better go back and ask Princess Qing Luo more about what the emperor said to her, so that you won't get into trouble in the future. This statement made Mu Yi slightly stunned for a moment, but he was already overwhelmed by anger and only thought for half a second before returning to his senses and laughing coldly. What did she say? She has already told me that the emperor favors this servant because of you and that you and this servant still have an affair. Mu Yi's words became more excessive, making the 9th emperor go behind him immediately and kick him out hard. Dongfang Yu, close the door. No one is allowed to come here. She shrugged off her clothes, turned around, and walked toward the room. She did not even look at Sima Yan. These people came every day to disturb her peace. It was simply endless. They just could not let her be alone. And me for extra chapters. The 9th emperor paused for a moment. Mu Yi just got up from the ground. The fact that he was kicked out made his face pale and also in disbelief. What happened these years that made little 9 so unfilial? Mu Yi, the 9th emperor sneered. There is no relationship between us. There was not, and there will never be in the future. So do not come to me again. I don't want to hear you humiliate Dongfang Yu. This time, I will still spare your life for the sake of my mother, who has been missing for years. But next time, I will make sure you will not be able to walk out of here. People's patience always had a limit. She could tolerate it only so far, even though it was not easy. This was all because, back then, this man was indeed the one her mother once loved. For her sake, she gave him one last chance. However, if he appeared before her again, then she really would not be polite. Little 9. Mu Yi looked mournful. I am your father. Shut up. The 9th emperor was expressionless. You only have one daughter, and that is Mu Qingya. I am not your daughter, because I cannot give the title that you have today. Chapter 2147. The past life 72. After dropping these words, the 9th emperor walked into the room. She closed the door, not giving a hint of opportunity. Sima Yan was also a bit embarrassed. It was hard to meet little 9, and he could not find out whether she was the 9th emperor or not. It was all because of Mu Yi, who had caused little 9 never to want to see him again. However, Mu Yi was not the reason the 9th emperor did not want to see Sima Yan. She was annoyed and did not want to see anyone. Maiden Dongfang, I see that young lady Mu is a little unwell. I will leave first and not disturb her. Sima Yan smiled. I will see her again when she is better. Dongfang Yu smiled and did not say anything. From the moment she saw Sima Yan, she knew that Sima Yan would bug her. Unfortunately, no one could come to pester the 9th emperor in the future. From this night on, the 9th emperor would definitely set up formations just so that these people could not disturb her. Well, you go back first. The 9th emperor is annoyed by certain people who are stubborn. His daughter just came by yesterday, and today he came by, Dongfang Yu said with a smile. Mu Yi's daughter? Mu Qingya? Sima Yan froze and hesitated for a second. Was it noble Lady Qingya? Dongfang Yu sneered. Does he have other daughters? That woman was also strange. After coming here and not saying a word, she directly jumped into the water. And then she left. Today, Mu Yi came to my master to settle that matter, saying that my master pushed Mu Qingya. With these words, she was unintentionally repeating what the 9th emperor had just said. Mu Yi did not believe the 9th emperor, but Sima Yan might. As for whether it was true or not, it did not matter. Even if it were not true, the 9th emperor would make him believe it. Sima Yan, who was still smiling, froze after hearing these words. He did not like the Mu family, but Mu Qingya was a noble lady and had always been kind and naive. But how could she do such a thing? Sima Yan's heart was smashed down like a thunderbolt. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Mu Qingya had deliberately jumped into the lake, and today Mu Yi came to find little 9 to settle the score for it? In the end, who was telling the truth, he did not know. Dongfang Yu, you do not have to worry. I will support you on this matter. Sima Yan looked at Mu Yi coldly. It seems that your people from the Emperor's son-in-law's manor take the Emperor's words lightly. In that case, I will report to the Emperor about all of these, including what noble lady did. Mu Yi was first stunned, then sneered. Firstly, I don't believe Qingya really did this. Secondly, the Emperor has always loved Qingya with all of his heart. Do you think you can threaten me with this? Me for extra chapters. Sima Yan sneered and smirked. But compared to Feng Yun Kingdom, of course, his kingdom is more important to him. After saying that, Sima Yan left. He brushed his sleeves and left, fast and hurried. Mu Yi's face sank. Why would it be compared to his kingdom? It's hard not to say that this bastard Sima Yan wants to threaten the Emperor with the troops in his hands. But is the Emperor someone who could be threatened so easily? Moreover, even if Sima Yan is strong, he was given the power by the Emperor, and if he left Feng Yun Kingdom, he is nothing. He gradually calmed down as he thought about this. Chapter 2148. The Past Life 73. When Sima Yan left, Mu Yi did not stay longer. He finally looked at the door of the Ninth Emperor's closed door, turned around, and left. Meanwhile, in the Emperor's son-in-law's manor, Princess Qingluo had long been waiting for him. She waited for a long time until Mu Yi returned. She hurriedly stood up and rushed toward him anxiously. How is it? She was impatient. Seeing Princess Qingluo walking over, Mu Yi's face slightly sank. He sighed helplessly and smiled bitterly. She does not want to come. In the end, he still reported the words truthfully to Qingluo. This was what Princess Qingluo had expected. Therefore, when Qingluo saw Mu Yi this way, she did not seem surprised. She sneered. Mu Yi, if she does not want to come, we cannot force her. After all, I have already given her an opportunity, but she did not grab it. Little Nine, that bitch. She not only wanted to steal away Mu Yi, but she even humiliated my daughter. Does she think that I will let her go? A cold light flashed in her eyes, a coldness that made people shudder. Mu Yi's heart thumped. He knew that Princess Qingluo was very angry, but Little Nine was his daughter. How could he bear to see her suffer? Qingluo, Mu Yi suddenly thought of Sima Yan's words. He gritted his teeth and said, Did the Emperor say anything to you before? What? There was a cold light in her eyes. Do you think my father has said other things to me, and that I would omit that? Mu Yi, I have never thought that you will think of me like that. If there is something about me that you are unhappy about, then just tell me. I, Qingluo, have endured all these years in this family for you. I gave up my glory and wealth as a princess. I had made my father resent me, so what more do you want? Each sentence carried anger and disappointment. In the past, Mu Yi did not care about Princess Qingluo. It was the old lady who forced him to marry, and he never cared about her. However, this time, seeing the disappointment in Qingluo's eyes, his heart trembled, and he closed his eyes in guilt. Qingluo, I don't mean it that way. His voice was a little choked and hoarse, and he slowly opened his eyes. Me for extra chapters. That's enough. Qingluo angrily raised her hand and pushed Mu Yi, who wanted to approach her, away, and her eyes were filled with grief. You would rather believe Sima Yan over me? Mu Yi, Qingluo, vouch for myself that I have never wronged you all these years. If you still pity Little Nine, then I do the same. She is your daughter. How could I not accept her? Even though I have thought about it, as long as she is willing to come back, I will ask Qingya to give up her room. But why are you treating me like this? Not only did you suspect me for not telling the whole truth earlier, but you also broke Qingya's heart for Little Nine. She only went to meet Little Nine for your sake, but Little Nine treated her like this, and as a father, you failed to do her justice. Tears flowed from Qingluo's eyes, and her voice sounded heartbreaking. No matter how much Little Nine dislikes me, I have accepted it. After all, it is true that I snatched you from her, and because of me, the old lady does not like her. But if she wants to go away, it is her own choice. Why do you put the fault on Qingya and me? Her mother is no longer alive, So why must you keep her in your heart for life? In this world, it was customary for men to have many wives and concubines, but there were not many good men like Mu-yi. That was why she had married him despite the opposition from so many people. But little Nine's mother was dead. For a deceased person, why did he still have to long for her? She married him, and what was wrong with that? What qualifications does that bitch little Nine have to complain about me? Looking at Mu-yi, who did not say anything, Princess Qingluo sneered. My daughter is my life. I will not allow anyone to bully her even a bit. If little Nine is willing to come back, then she will also be my daughter, but if she is unwilling to come back, then she has no right to bully my Qingya. Mu-yi's lips trembled, and he closed his eyes again. After the trembling heart calmed down, he opened his eyes. There is another matter, he smiled bitterly. Little Nine told me that it was Qingya who jumped into the lake herself. So I came back this time to ask Qingya personally. Did she pop? A clear sound came from outside the door. Mu-yi looked up and saw Mu Qingya approaching them with a bowl of soup. Perhaps because of his words earlier, the bowl of soup in Mu Qingya's hand fell to the ground, and the bowl shattered into pieces. Mu Qingya's face was pale. With a look of disbelief, she gazed at Mu-yi, aggrieved. Father, are you doubting me? She even spoke with a trembling voice, and her tears flowed uncontrollably. I don't mean that. I just want to hear you explain it yourself. Mu-yi's heart ached. She was his most beloved daughter, and he felt guilty to little Nine. After all, it was all Father's guess. As long as you tell me the truth, I will believe in you. Mu Qingya smiled bitterly. I don't want to cause any fight in our family. I also do not want to be a tattletale, but I never thought my sister would make such accusations. Why would I jump into the lake? Only to get wet? All these years, Mu Qingya had never told a lie. Therefore, Mu-yi said, as long as she told him what happened that day, he would trust her. But little Nine. She lied to him before. Me for extra chapters. She had clearly said she was going to go out for a trip and soon would return. But who knew that after so many years, she would not return? That girl lied to him. So how could he believe her? I'm sorry, Qingya. It's Father. That's enough. Princess Qingluo shouted angrily. She glared at Mu-yi seemingly in deep pain. You not only doubted me before but now, you are doubting even Qingya. Mu-yi, I have been doing everything in vain for so many years. I was so infatuated with you, and this is how you repay us. Mu Qingya froze. She pursed her lips. Father was also doubting. Mother. Father and mother have always respected each other. But now for little Nine, they have become like this. How could she be calm? Mu Qingya took a deep breath. The cold air that she had inhaled through her mouth made her tremble a little. Because of Sima Yan's words, your father thought that your grandfather and I discussed something without telling him. Qingluo's eyes were full of disappointment. For little Nine, you have become a stranger to me. Looking at Princess Qingluo's disappointed expression, Mu-yi's heart once again felt stung. Chapter 2150. The past life 75. He wanted to comfort Princess Qingluo, but she dodged him before he could touch her. His fingers stiffened in the air, and his gaze was filled with sorrow. Qingluo, I'm sorry. It's not that I don't believe you. That's enough. Qingluo closed her eyes in disappointment. Her body was trembling. After a few seconds, she gradually calmed down and slowly opened her eyes. You don't have to explain. I know what's in your heart. My daughter and I can never compare to your little Nine. For so many years, it has been me who has been bugging you. If you don't like it, I am willing to take Qingya away so you can live happily with little Nine. Mu Qingya walked up to Qingluo's side sadly. It was obvious that she was disappointed with Mu-yi. Mu-yi felt guilty. He felt like a useless father for doubting Qingya. Qingya would never lie. Qingluo, you do not have to say such things. In my heart, no one is more important than Qingya. I owe too much to little Nine and I want to make up to her, but what I really care about most is always Qingya. One was the daughter who grew up with him, the other, She left when she was a child. The most important would always be the one who grew up around him. Old Lady Mu had awakened and had only been resting in her room. However, she rushed out after her servant reported to her about this matter. When she heard that Qing Luo was going to take Mu Qingya away, she was so angry that her cane hit the ground hard, and there was a wave of uncontrollable anger in her voice. Bastard! You bastard! Who permitted you to meet little Nine again? That little bastard still dares to hurt Qingya. Did you think that because I'm injured, I would allow her to do whatever she wants? Mu Yi, go and drive that bastard away immediately. Don't allow her to appear in Fengyun Kingdom, or else I won't even take you as my son anymore. Mu Yi opened his mouth and wanted to defend little Nine, but after seeing Mu Qingya and Princess Qingluo's faces sink, he remained silent. He was afraid that little Nine would have a hard time if she did not come back home. But now, perhaps it was better to let her leave just like before, and maybe she would have a better life out there. However, he owed his daughter a lot and he felt guilty. Therefore, even after little Nine had made a mistake, he was still willing to tolerate her again and let her come back. However, she hurt Qingya. If she had not targeted Qingya, he would have let her stay. Me for extra chapters. Let me take care of this matter. Mu Yi smiled bitterly. The anger upon Princess Qingluo's face faded after hearing this. She pursed her lips and said, Mu Yi, had little Nine promised to be more obedient and not bully Qingya, maybe I would still keep her and treat her nicely. But she is too wild, cruel, and vicious. If Qingya did not know how to swim, wouldn't she have drowned in that lake? She sighed. If she could do this, who knows if one day she would poison Qingya out of jealousy. We can't let that happen. Mu Yi did not say a word. Chapter 2151. The past life 76 perhaps. From the moment little Nine was unwilling to come back with him, it was already doomed. I will meet little Nine tomorrow, Mu Yi said with a bitter smile. Mother, you are still weak. Why don't you go rest first? Old Lady Mu snorted coldly. If you had the means to seek justice for Qingya, would you still need me, an old lady, to come out? If it weren't for you being so useless, I wouldn't be this exhausted. After saying these words, Old Lady Mu did not look at Mu Yi again as she turned around and left the room. Looking at Old Lady Mu's back as she left, Mu Yi's eyes were also filled with guilt. He felt useless. After his wife passed away, he had married Princess Qingluo and had an excellent daughter, but he had no way to vent his anger on her behalf when she suffered just because he owed little Nine too much. His mother was hurt, but he could do nothing. Even more, little Nine, who was once well-behaved and understanding, had now turned out to be so. Qingya, Mu Yi turned to look at Mu Qingya. Tomorrow, I will meet little Nine again. He had gone to beg her to apologize a few times, but all in vain. He had no choice but to drive her away forcefully tomorrow. That was the only way his family could be peaceful again, and little Nine would not make mistakes because of her ignorance. Mu Yi closed his eyes in grief. I'm sorry, little Nine. I am doing this for your good. If you continue to stay, one day, the princess will be furious, and by then, I cannot help you. Mu Qingya smiled as she walked toward Mu Yi. Father, I'm only thinking about grandmother's health. After all, one of sister's servants had dared to hurt grandmother. If we didn't take any action, maybe sister might even dare to hurt her in the future. Have you ever thought about this? Mu Yi trembled. Indeed, even a servant had dared to make a move on mother, so little Nine must have dared to do so even more. He remained silent. Princess Qingluo and Mu Qingya left. They did not say anything more, thinking about how they should go to little Nine tomorrow. Unfortunately, Mu Yi was not able to meet the 9th emperor. Me for extra chapters. He and Sima Yan came to disturb the 9th emperor one after another, so she had set up a formation overnight, and after he broke into the courtyard, he found the whole courtyard empty. What was even more frightening was that he could not get out. He stayed in that formation for a whole day and night before the people inside found out and let him out. Otherwise, there was no way for him to leave without someone releasing him. When Princess Qingluo saw Mu Yi return without success, her face was suddenly cold again as she asked, Mui, up until now you are still pitying little Nine. What about our daughter and mother? Moreover, you went out for a whole day and night before coming back. What exactly did you do? Mui smiled bitterly and said helplessly, I don't know what happened. After I entered the courtyard, I couldn't see anyone, and I couldn't leave. Until the dawn, I somehow walked out again. If he said he did not see anyone, Qing Luo might have believed that maybe little Nine had gone out, so he could not see her. But walking around the courtyard all night without being able to come out, and then somehow coming out at dawn? Did he think she was a fool? Princess Qing Luo sneered, and the disappointment in her eyes grew. Mui, you can even tell such a lie for little Nine. Would you do something to our mother and daughter then? Chapter 2152. The past life 77. When Mui saw that Qing Luo did not trust him, he became a little anxious, but looking at King Luo's indifference, he could not even say a word. It's not a surprise if Qing Luo did not trust me. How can she believe in me after what I've done to her these years? I owe Qing Luo too much in this life. Mui closed his eyes in sorrow and said nothing. His face was so pale that King Luo's heart almost softened again after seeing him in such condition. No, my daughter and I will suffer if he doesn't drive little Nine away. Therefore Qing Luo remained cold. She was no longer looking at Mui. She simply turned around and walked into the room. She slammed the door of the room fiercely, leaving Mui speechless. Mui laughed bitterly. He looked at the closed door for a while before turning around and walking out of the courtyard. After that day, he went again to find the 9th emperor, and every time he entered the courtyard, he would be trapped inside for a night. The same thing repeated for several days, and even the 9th emperor's people were impatient. Therefore, they locked him for 3 days and 3 nights before he was released. Dongfang, you handled these things. The 9th emperor stayed peacefully inside her courtyard together with Nan Chongfeng. Later, Mui learned to be wise and no longer snuck into the courtyard. He secretly hid outside the gate, waiting for the 9th emperor. After all, the 9th emperor could not remain inside at all times. Moreover, he clearly heard a voice in this courtyard, but he could not find her every time he went in. He guessed the courtyard was set up with some formation so that he could not enter. As expected, not long after, he saw a figure in a red dress slowly walking out of the courtyard. The sunshine was perfect today. The 9th emperor stretched her body lazily with a smile upon her face. Looking at her smile, Mui's heart trembled a little. He could not help but think of that person again back then. Unfortunately, she was long gone. If she were still there, perhaps all this mess would not have happened. Mui smiled bitterly and walked toward the 9th emperor. The 9th emperor looked up and coincidentally saw Mui walking toward her. She frowned and looked a little annoyed. Why are you here again? Me for extra chapters. She had a headache whenever she saw this man. Mui looked a little embarrassed. Little Nine, why haven't I been able to see you these past few days when I went to your courtyard? Oh, the 9th emperor was expressionless. It's because I don't want you to see me. Hearing these words, Mui froze, and the smile on his lips grew bitter. He then sighed lightly. I came to find you because there is something I want to talk to you about. The 9th emperor raised her eyebrows and turned to Mui. Mui smiled helplessly. It has been a long time since you came here. I wonder, when will you leave? The 9th emperor was stunned. Earlier, this man was trying every possible way to get me home, and in the blink of an eye he wants to drive me away? The 9th emperor smiled coldly as she turned to Mui. Is this kingdom yours? Mui's expression changed dramatically. Little Nine, don't talk nonsense. This kingdom is the emperor's. Chapter 2153. The past life 78-inch well. The 9th emperor smiled faintly as she asked, Then, what right do you have to drive me away? Since she was here, she would not leave so easily. Mui was a little impatient. Little Nine, don't you understand? Qing Luo is the princess of Feng Yun Kingdom. The emperor was not happy when she married me. Maybe he doesn't love Qing Luo as much as before, but she's still his daughter. I'm doing this for your good. This girl. How can she be so stubborn and not understand my intention? Mu Yi was afraid that if little Nine continued to stay, something terrible might happen to her. She was his daughter. How could he not worry about her? Well, the ninth emperor looked at him calmly. If you want me to leave, ask the emperor to come and talk to me personally. After saying that, the ninth emperor was about to leave. However, Mu Yi was a bit anxious. He reached out to pull the ninth emperor's sleeve. Only her sleeve. Mu Yi wanted to stop her, but facing the cold ninth emperor, he did not dare to grab her arms. The ninth emperor stopped. She glanced coldly at Mu Yi, who was tugging at her sleeve. Let go. Mu Yi smiled bitterly. Little Nine, just listen to my advice. I will ask you once more, will you let go? Her gaze was cold, so cold that Mu Yi's heart trembled a little. Little Nine really made him a little afraid now. However, he knew that once he let go, Little Nine would ignore him. And if she continued to stay, Qing Luo would also be angry. Little Nine, you, get out. The ninth emperor pulled her sleeves away forcefully, sending Mu Yi flying away. Afterward, without even looking at him, she turned around and left. Mu Yi rolled on the ground, landing in front of a pair of feet. He looked up and saw a cold face. The young man was very handsome and with beautiful silver hair. However, his face and his eyes were cold. Me for extra chapters. Next time, if you disturb the ninth emperor again. The young man smirked. I will make you disappear from here, forever. Mu Yi trembled harder with each sentence. The coldness wrapped around his entire body as if it could drag him into hell. Fortunately, the young man did not stay much longer. He walked away, following the ninth emperor. The man in a snow-colored long robe gradually disappeared. Mu Yi gradually regained his strength and calmed down. He clenched his fists tightly. He did not understand why Little Nine refused to listen to him. If she stayed, could she fight against Qing Luo? With her background, she was not a match for Qing Luo. She was just asking for trouble. As a father, I've done what should be done. I have even prayed a few times for you and Princess Qing Luo. I no longer have a way to manage this matter. As a father, he had tried his best to the end. Next, it depended on whether Little Nine would continue to provoke Qing Luo. Mu Yi sighed helplessly. He then turned around slowly and headed back to his manor. Qing Luo and Mu Qingya were still waiting for him at home. Chapter 2154. The past life 79 Little Nine was really rude to Mu Yi, and for the first time, he made up his mind that he would not care about her anymore. Qing Luo stood up and looked at Mu Yi coldly. Mu Yi, I have given her a chance, but she did not cherish it. I will let her go this time for you. However, if she messes with me again next time, do not blame me for being merciless. Mu Yi quietly sighed in relief, but he still felt guilt. For me, Princess Qing Luo would not have to suffer all these if it wasn't for him. Princess Qing Luo had sacrificed so much for him. Qing Luo calmed herself. She did not believe in the emperor's words, but after all, the emperor was her father. These years, the emperor's son-in-law's manor was not doing very well. If she insisted on going against Little Nine, she was afraid that even her father would restrain her. Therefore, she gave Little Nine another chance. However, if Little Nine messed with her again, she would not let her go, even if her father stopped her. Qing Luo smiled coldly after hearing Mu Yi's words. No matter how tolerant I am, I still can't replace that woman in your heart. Right? Mu Yi froze for a moment, silent. These years, he did not forget her, and also, Little Nine, whom he had been looking for so long. But the past, after all, was the past. Mu Yi lowered his gaze and looked at Princess Qing Luo. 20 years. King Luo's face was not the same as before. She had aged a lot, and even her eyes, at some point, were filled with sadness. From the day he married her, he had to be responsible for her. Even if it was to respect each other, he had to keep her by his side. It won't happen in the future. This was the assurance he gave Qing Luo. It was also considered as the time for him to move on from the past. Qing Luo lowered her gaze and smiled coldly. Only this time, she did not speak more, allowing Mu Yi to come forward and pulled her into his arms. After meeting Mu Yi, the ninth emperor did not have time to shop for a while longer before she ran into Sima Yan. Me for extra chapters. Sima Yan smiled awkwardly. He had been blocked from seeing Little Nine here a few days, and he finally met her. However, looking at Little Nine's gaze, it seemed that she already knew what was on his mind, so he could not help but felt a little embarrassed. Maiden Mu, long time no see. The ninth emperor frowned and looked at Sima Yan smilingly. We haven't seen each other for just a few days, so has it been really that long? Did you forget that you ran to my manor and disturbed my rest a few days ago? That made Sima Yan even more embarrassed. He cleared his throat and smiled. I and Dongfang, yes father, once, were close friends. Oh, the ninth emperor's tone was calm. Then, when the Dongfang family was exterminated, where were you? Sima Yan was stunned. I went to war that year. If he were here back then, even if he could not protect the Dongfang family, he would not have left Dongfang Yu alone. Chapter 2155. The past life 80 he would have taken that child away and took care of her. However, he was not there, and when he came back, he heard that the Dongfang family had been exterminated. Dongfang Yu was taken away by the ninth emperor. Now that he thought about it, it still hurt a little. The ninth emperor looked up at Sima Yan and asked, So, what do you want from me? Sima Yan looked at the ninth emperor, and he hesitated for a moment. Maiden Mu, can we talk for a moment? The ninth emperor nodded indifferently. All right, but I am hungry, so you have to treat me. Sima Yan's mouth twitched, but he extended his hand, respectfully. Maiden Mu, please. The ninth emperor followed Sima Yan. After entering the restaurant, Sima Yan looked around carefully and saw that no one was secretly following. He then slowly closed the door. The ninth emperor was a little puzzled and looked at him blankly. Sima Yan laughed and sat in front of the ninth emperor. He smiled and asked, Maiden Mu, may I ask you a question? Initially, he had wanted to investigate it secretly, but he knew that this girl hated the kind of people who beat around the bush, so he thought it was better to ask her directly. Yes. The ninth emperor responded expressionlessly. I heard that Dongfang Yu was taken away by the ninth emperor, and now she's your servant, so I'm curious. Are you the ninth emperor? Sima Yan looked sincere, staring at the ninth emperor. Little Nine and the ninth emperor's name both had 9. Was this really a coincidence? Sima Yan could not believe it. The ninth emperor picked up the teacup and took a sip. If you already know, why do you still ask? She did not directly admit it with these words, but it was the same as admitting it. Sima Yan inhaled sharply. He was shocked, and the cup in his hand almost fell to the floor. It seemed that what he and the emperor had guessed was indeed correct. Little Nine was the ninth emperor. Sima Yan was not too willing for Little Nine to be the ninth emperor because of what Princess Qingluo had done. Moreover, Mu Yi was involved in this mess. They wanted to strengthen their relationship with the ninth emperor, but now, it might not be easy. He understood that no one in this world would dare to impersonate the ninth emperor, and since she had said yes, Dongfang Yu was the best proof. Me for extra chapters. Ninth emperor. Sima Yan stood up and said apologetically, I am sorry about Princess Qingluo and the emperor's son-in-law. They clearly do not know that you are the ninth emperor, that's why. She brought the teacup to her lips and took another sip. She remained calm. I have nothing to do with them. Sima Yan was stunned. It seems like the ninth emperor can't forgive the emperor's son-in-law. But, the ninth emperor paused. I do not hold any grudge against them either. Once she said that, Sima Yan was quietly relieved. As long as she did not hold a grudge, Feng Yun Kingdom would still have a chance. But do not let those people come to bother me again. The ninth emperor rubbed her temples helplessly. I went out today and met Mu Yi again, which annoyed me a lot. Sima Yan froze for a moment and asked weakly, Mu Yi came? What for? Chapter 2156. The past life 81 inch he wanted me to leave Feng Yun Kingdom. Sima Yan was speechless. How dare Mu Yi tries to make the 9th emperor leave Feng Yun kingdom. It seems that the emperor's words to Princess Qingluo were completely useless, and these people have become even more aggressive. I must report this to the emperor. 9th emperor, don't worry. I will settle this matter for you. Sima Yan stood up and put his fist to his palm respectfully. He turned around and left coldly. The 9th emperor ignored Sima Yan and continued drinking her tea. It was only after Sima Yan left that she suddenly noticed something. It seems that he has not paid the bill. The 9th emperor's face darkened. Did he try to avoid paying the bill? That's why he left so quickly. She frowned. The next time she saw Sima Yan, she had to make him pay the bill. Since he had said he would treat her, he must pay. Sima Yan was so angry. He rushed toward the palace furiously, which made all the palace servants and eunuchs tremble. What happened to General Sima today, coming to the palace with such rage? He can't be wanting to fight with the emperor? The other people were not able to stop him. They could only see Sima Yan, full of rage, rushing into the palace. Inside the imperial study room, the emperor was still busy with the folders. Suddenly, he saw the old man rushing in from outside of the imperial study room. He frowned and asked, General Sima, what are you doing here? Seeing this Sima Yan, who was full of anger, the emperor's face sank. Have I been too kind to Sima Yan all these years? Now he is so daring to fight with me? Sima Yan could beat all the skilled masters in the palace. Emperor! Sima Yan suppressed his anger. He gritted his teeth and said, Didn't you promise to watch over Princess Qingluo? The emperor frowned. General Sima, watch your words. Princess Qingluo has not gone out for these days, and you are here to question me? Me for extra chapters. Oh, Sima Yan laughed coldly. I don't want Princess Qingluo to destroy our entire Feng Yun kingdom. She is so shameless. She doesn't know what faults she has committed and only thinks she is right. The emperor was shocked. Has Qingluo caused trouble again? What happened? Sima Yan gritted his teeth. I've got proof. Little 9 is the 9th emperor. The emperor was stunned. These words were like a fist. They viciously punched the emperor's heart. The emperor froze. Even if he had already guessed that, he still had some mixed feelings when he knew the truth. Little 9 is the 9th emperor. But, Sima Yan continued, those people of the emperor's son-in-law's manor still dare to disturb her. Today, Mu Yi even asked her to leave Feng Yun kingdom. The emperor got up angrily. His face was pale, and he asked incredulously, What did you just say? Qingluo, a woman, blinded by jealousy, refused to listen to me. But since when did Mu Yi become so stupid, too? How dare he do such a thing? This is the ultimate stupidity. The emperor trembled hard. He was so furious his face was blue from anger. Chapter 2157. The Past Life 82-inch Sima Yan, pass my order. From now on, no one from the emperor's son-in-law's manor is allowed to set foot outside. This group of fools. They are still trying to meet the 9th emperor by all means. How dare they challenge me? Sima Yan sighed in relief. With the emperor's order, that group of people could no longer be demons. And no one could bother the 9th emperor. Emperor, little 9 is surely the 9th emperor. Do we need to tell Princess about this? I am a bit worried, he frowned. The emperor smiled coldly. If you have the guts, you can go and tell Qingluo. I do not have the guts to tell others about her identity without the 9th emperor's permission. Have you ever thought about how it will spread if the emperor's son-in-law's family knows about this? If the 9th emperor were to come looking for us to settle this, what should we do? The 9th emperor did not hide her identity to Sima Yan, but it did not mean that she did not care about her privacy. It was different if the 9th emperor had told them herself. If the 9th emperor did not like others spreading the truth about her identity, who would take the responsibility when she was to come looking for people to account for? No one could withstand her wrath so far. Therefore, the emperor was also helpless and could only prohibit those people from going out there and causing trouble. Sima Yan paused for a while before continuing, Noble Lady Qingya. She also went to meet the 9th emperor a few days ago. Qingya? The emperor frowned and hesitated for a moment. Why did Qingya go to meet her? Unlike Qingluo, Qingya always had well-behaved. Otherwise, the emperor would not have spoiled her so much. She was also kind and gentle, unlike Qingluo, who was arrogant and spoiled. Moreover, Qingya was smart and beautiful. Therefore, when he heard that Qingya also went to meet the ninth emperor, he just froze for a moment but did not think much about it. Sima Yan smiled coldly. Emperor, noble lady not only went to the ninth emperor but also accused the ninth emperor of pushing her into the lake. She ran back and complained to Mu Yi. That was why Mu Yi wanted to drive the ninth emperor away. The emperor froze for a moment and frowned. If Qingluo did this thing, he would have thought it was normal. But Qingya, how was it possible? However, these words were from Sima Yan. He would not lie to the emperor. Qingya, since when did she become so? Emperor, what kind of person is the ninth emperor? She is a powerful woman. Would she need to bother with a little girl? It seems like noble lady is not as good as we thought. Sima Yan was also a little disappointed. Qingya showed that she was not the same as she used to be based on what she had done these few days. Or perhaps it was the first time someone in Feng Yun Kingdom disobeyed her that made her become so. Me for extra chapters. She was kind and gentle. She changed once there was a threat to her. Sima Yan. The emperor was mad and said sternly, "No one is allowed to leave the emperor's son-in-law's manor, including Qingya. We can't leave them be this time." That was the ninth emperor. She could even destroy a city with her power alone. Many skilled masters in the mainland tried to hunt her down, but in the end, none of them succeeded. She even protected those ordinary and weak people. Therefore, everyone in this world worshipped her like a god. No one could replace her position in the people's hearts. "You can leave now." The emperor stopped, suddenly feeling a little tired. His children and grandchildren had always made him worry. "Yes, Emperor." Sima Yan put his fist to his palm and retreated. The entire imperial study room was quiet again with only the emperor alone. He was lost in thought as he looked at the memo in his hand as he smiled bitterly. Chapter 2158. The Past Life 83 Inside the Emperor's Son-in-Law's Manor. Princess Qingluo looked at the few people who had stopped her from going out. Her face darkened. "What are you guys doing here?" "I am the princess. Who permitted you to stop me from going out?" The guards did not move. Their faces were expressionless and cold. "I'm here by the order from the emperor." Princess Qingluo almost spurted out a mouthful of blood. Her father believed that Dongfang Yu was related to the ninth emperor. It was ridiculous to treat her like this just because of a rumor. "Get out of the way!" she shouted sternly with a cold face. The guards remained motionless. "This is the emperor's order. I dare not to release the princess. Princess, please go back and rest." Princess Qingluo was so angry she slapped the guard's face. The guard remained stiff, not even showing any expression. Before coming here, they were all mentally prepared because they knew Princess Qingluo had a bad temper. This task was not easy for them. Mother, Mu Qingya appeared behind Princess Qingluo. She touched her shoulder and shook her head. "If grandfather won't let you go out, there is definitely no way. If you go out, it means that you disobey the decree. Grandfather is the emperor after all. It is not good to disobey him." Qingluo calmed down after hearing Mu Qingya's words. She suddenly remembered Little Nine. So many things wouldn't have happened if Little Nine hadn't come back. She should not have come back. Qingluo took a deep breath and looked at these guards coldly. She then turned away and walked toward the courtyard in a huff. Old Lady Mu had long hidden in the back, not daring to come forward. She dared to show off herself outside using her status as the princess mother-in-law, but she did not dare say anything in front of these people. The one who brought people here was Sima Yan, who was obeying the emperor's order. She was not that stupid to go against the emperor. Mu Qingya saw that Qingluo no longer made a fuss and subconsciously felt relieved. She smiled and turned to the guards. "Please move aside. I want to go out to do something." The guards looked at Mu Qingya coldly. "This is the emperor's order. No one from the emperor's son-in-law's manor is allowed to go out. Mu Qingjia's smile suddenly froze. Me for extra chapters. No one from the emperor's son-in-law's manor is allowed to go out? Including me? Her face turned cold. The smile on her face disappeared as she clenched her fists tightly. However, soon, she calmed down and asked smilingly, "Did grandfather say why I am not allowed to go out?" "I don't know, but this is an order from the emperor," the guard spoke coldly. Mu Qingya took a deep breath and slowly turned around, walking toward the backyard. Her eyes sunk, and a cold light flashed in her eyes. However, she did not make a fuss like Princess Qingluo. Instead, she was nice and obedient. After Mu Qingya left, the two guards stood on both sides of the gate, holding their weapons expressionlessly. Mu Qingya went to the main hall and found that Mu Yi and old lady Mu had been waiting for her for a long time. Qingluo's face darkened, and her eyes were filled with rage. "Qingluo," Mu Yi pondered for a while. "What did the emperor say to you? Why is he suddenly not allowing us to go out now?" Qingluo stiffened. "It was Sima Yan who did it." You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.